metal-handed God. I'd like to welcome all you freaks to the metal-handed God. We some nerds with the urge to purge on some mod. Show them the dick print, then hit him with the rod. The love doctor tell you how to get the Ichabod. Crane, Adam Rowe, Kyle and Wayne. How do they maintain when they clinically insane? We keep it so metal that we spitting your flame. Adam Story's got a point if you let him explain. It's the pun of all puns, get a pun with Papa Wayne. Rum tapping the vein, and 9 minutes bringing pain. MHOG secreting, leaving a stain. You ain't as dope as us, bitch. Stay in your lane.
All right, and welcome back to the Metal Hand of God podcast, the soothing sounds of the Metal Hand of God. I am your host, Wayne, and over there, far reaches of wherever the hell he is
another angry, racist white man.
All right, yeah, I'm not an angry racist white man today. I'm all right today. I do want to say I did see all that stuff that was on your Facebook page earlier.
What stuff?
All that stuff with you and the English people on there. I was watching that. That was pretty good.
Well, that's actually a coincidence because that's something that I wanted to talk about since I think it's either Friday or Saturday it happened.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's Friday. Sorry, I get out of my cool jazz sounding guy. What's happening, everybody? Yeah.
No, that's fine. That's fine. No, I wanted to talk about that first. Not because Nick and I were arguing.
Right. I know.
But
fuck you, Nick. I'm just kidding.
There's some. I don't think he listens. Craig does. Craig's told me he listens.
I like Craig. He's a nice guy.
Because he listens, or because he's a nice guy?
No, because he's a nice dude.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm just checking.
And because he listens. I'm just saying.
It doesn't hurt. No,
it's a little bit.
There's something that's been happening in England for a while now, and it's something happened Friday, but it's just kind of the newest part of it. Right, we've talked a little bit about it on the show before. We've talked about. I'm pretty sure we've talked about this because I know it's something I wanted to bring up, but we've talked about the Facebook like social media posts that the police in the United Kingdom monitor for. And if you post
about that other guy,
you're talking about Count Dankula. I'm gonna get to him in a second. But in the UK, if you post things on like that are considered hate speech, and you can be arrested. And the police literally I don't know if it's every station, but I've seen the posts on Facebook of different UK police departments saying, "Hey, we're watching," which is Facebook basically is Big Brother, but it's just letting you know that Big Brother's definitely, if not here, it's there. And you can be arrested for posting what's called hate speech, and hate speech is a made up term. It's literally made up. It does not exist. Anyone can claim anything as hate speech. We talked the other day about Kanye West, like how he's being effectively shut down. We were saying like neither one of us likes Kanye West. We both have negative impressions of him because our first impressions of him were of him inserting racism into Hurricane Katrina for absolutely no reason, because he just was a narcissist that was like, oh, it must be about because they're black. That's why, blah, 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 whatever. Like I could say that's hate speech, right?
You can.
Isn't it? I'm offended.
Yes.
Does that mean he should be arrested? Does that mean he shouldn't be able to talk? No.
He has the right to say whatever bullshit he wants to say, just like
right, because we live in America. And people, I think I've talked about this before. There's that show, The Newsroom, that people like to post the video, like a little clip from where Jeff Daniels is lecturing some Republican that he's on stage with, and his Republican says America is great because we have freedom of speech, which is true, by the way. but he says like everywhere has freedom of speech. England has freedom of speech. France has freedom of speech. Canada has freedom of speech. That's not actually true.
I just want to say that America is great, and we do have freedom of speech, because if not, you guys' favorite podcast, which is us, would not exist.
It would not exist, and we'll get to that in a minute. But well, the First Amendment says that the U.S. government cannot infringe upon your right to speak, express yourself, or associate with other people. Now, of course, that only lies insofar as you are not actively hurting someone. Which is, people try to make it seem like there's wiggle room on that, but there's not. You're either hurting someone or you're not, and your speech isn't fucking hurting someone.
I like wiggle room better.
You're right. Well, I'll give you a little wiggle room later. But our Constitution enshrines that the U.S. government cannot tell us we cannot say things. And even we've gone through this before, even you can't yell fire in a crowded room, that's not exactly true. You can do that, but if someone dies as a result of it, you would be prosecuted. But assuming that there wasn't an actual fire. Obviously, if there's a fire in a theater and you yell out, "Hey, there's a fire," you're not going to go to jail for that.
No,
it's the idea is that, you can't create a hoax that actively gets someone killed. Whatever. The United States is the only country that has enshrined freedom of speech, and even though a certain amount of people in this country don't want to believe it, that's partially enshrined by the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment backs up the First. The reason that the U.S. government can't just take away our freedom to express ourselves is because we have guns. It's essentially a warning to the government. The American people will not have their rights stripped from them. So, and it's fine that other countries don't choose to have a similar, constitutional amendment. But it makes me sad when I see England going down this path and getting to, you mentioned Count Dankula. Well, if you haven't heard the episode before and you don't pay attention to, I don't know if this made major national news. It's certainly a news story that's worthy of it. There's a Scottish guy that his name's on the YouTube. His name was Count Dankula, and as a prank, he taught his girlfriend's pug to do a Nazi salute, which is essentially like what's the dog command where you get it to raise a paw? Is it heel?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, there's one. Maybe it's not heel.
The command just shake.
Okay, shake. Well, it's a pretty common command. The only difference is instead of teaching the dog shake, he used the word, because dogs don't understand language. He taught the dog, the pug, to shake when he says "gas the Jews." And so, but he doesn't reach out, so the dog's just lifting up its arm like it's giving a Nazi salute, which is fucking funny. Now, Wayne, ask me if I think Jews should die.
Do you think Jews should die?
Maybe a little. No, obviously not. I'm definitely pro-Israel, but that doesn't mean it's not funny. It's hilarious. It's hilarious that he went that he was.
It's hysterical.
It's primarily hilarious because A, it's ridiculous, and B, it's ridiculous that he spent time teaching his pug to do that just to piss off. And that was the other thing. It's not like the girlfriend was a Nazi. He did it to piss her off. Because now, like, whenever he wants to annoy her, he can just yell "gas the Jews," and her dog does a Nazi salute. It's hilarious. He got arrested for that. He had a trial for that. I don't know if they've done the sentencing, but he's probably going to prison for it. For a joke. And so this isn't something new. So now to get to what happened on Friday. Now I want to preface this, and I hate making statements like this, like we always talk about is like yes, we use the word nigger. Obviously we don't, we're not condoning you yelling nigger at someone. It's because we believe that you should speak freely and you should say whatever you want. And hey, there are consequences that come along with that. You know, if I were recording in my car right now and I said nigger and a black guy walked by me, he might think I'm yelling nigger at him. You know,
and you might get punched in the face or shot at.
Probably shot at because we know niggers like to shoot.
We do live in New Orleans, so it's
that's true. Well, I don't live near.
You know what I mean?
I don't live near those niggers. No. I'm not cutting that out. No, obviously, you know, there are consequences to your speech, but
boy.
I lost my train of thought. I'm being so racist that
I know you just completely lost it.
Yeah. So I hate saying things like this, but sometimes you do need to make it clear. I have nothing against anyone of any religion. And that absolutely includes Muslims. I have a problem with radical Islam. I have a problem with any religion, including Christians who, you know, we've talked about my mother is like, oh, you're Catholic. And I've had to have the argument where I'm like, really not. No matter how, you know, and that's a minor thing, you know, and there are people like the Westboro Baptist Church out there, supposed Christians that go out there and celebrate soldiers dying for our country, you know, or homosexuals, you know, being killed. You know, those are obviously the tail end of the gene pool in the Christian community. But I don't have a problem with Muslims. And I really do think we should, if Ibrahim still listens, after all my racist rhetoric, you know, I really do think we should have him on just to have, like, maybe on video, maybe not on the podcast, or maybe both. Who knows? If you get up at the crack of dawn to pray, if you don't want to eat bacon, and you pray to Allah and Muhammad, I have no problem with that. I kind of feel bad for you about the bacon part, and also getting up at the crack of dawn. I mean, you and I do that, but we don't like to do it.
No, it's not something I really want to do, but we have to.
Right, and so do they. It's part of their religion. And that's one of the reasons that I like religion, even though it doesn't work for me, is that it provides structure. You know, neither one of us is religious, and we're pretty unstructured dudes. You know, but I don't have a problem with someone, you know, believing what they believe. What I have a problem with is the radical end of it, where there are plenty of Muslims. Like there's a difference between westernized Muslims and, you know, a lot of the people that are back, you know, and not all of them are radicals in the Middle East. But, you know, people got mad at Donald Trump Jr. for making the analogy of, you know, if you had a bag of Skittles that you were about to give your kid and you found out like only 20% of them were poison, would you still give your kid the Skittles? You know, and people got mad and like, oh, that's stupid. They're people, not Skittles. It's a fucking analogy. Like the point is if there's like, I don't know what the number is. I want to say like 2 billion Muslims on the planet. Maybe it's probably less, but there's a lot of them. There's hundreds of millions of them. If only 20% of, let's say, 100 million Muslims are radicals, and that's what they're estimating is like 20 to 25%. What's 25% of 100 million? 25 million. That's 25 million people willing to blow themselves up. Some might be in your neighborhood. It doesn't mean you should prosecute them. It doesn't mean you should, you know, pull a Trayvon Martin and chase them down the street. But it's understandable that people get a little paranoid about that.
Yeah.
You know?
It's kind of a scary thought, you know?
And we live in America where our odds of something going down are a lot less, partially because we profile people and we have guns. But in Europe right now, shit's going down. There are massive rapes going across the UK. Not just the UK. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking. Europe? The Union, the European Union, the EU.
The new thing.
How new is it? The European Union, I want to say it comes back from the 80s or maybe the 90s. It might be the 90s.
But it's still new in comparison to that country.
You just want to say that because you don't want to feel old. But my point is that there's a radical Muslim problem in Europe right now because very few people are speaking out about it. And one of the people speaking out about it is a guy named Tommy Robinson. Now, I'm not endorsing Tommy Robinson. I don't I've watched an interview with him. He seemed reasonable to me, but there is this issue with there are smart bigots in the world that are like, I'll just go on TV and I'll say a bunch of shit that, you know, you can't really disagree with if you're a rational person, you know, and then, you know, you come to my meeting and then I'll tell you the fucked up shit. Like that. Like I remember Pat Buchanan. I had heard my whole life, Pat Buchanan's a racist. Pat Buchanan's a racist. And I heard him speak on, I want to say it was Walton and Johnson. And I was like, that guy's not a racist. I believe all that stuff. And then I found out some more information. I was like, oh no, that dude's racist. that dude's an that dude hates Jews. Okay. Like, but there's a lot of people like that. I don't know if Tommy Robinson's one of those people. I have no idea. But what I do know is that he's been to prison a couple times. My understanding is like some of the charges were maybe not bullshit, but just not, you know, like he had some like tax evasion shit, you know, and he's been like had the shit kicked out of him, and not like you or I might have had, but like literally like broken bones and shit like that. Because they're
like to almost death.
Yeah, because there is a radical Muslim problem in prison. You can argue. I don't give a fuck what your opinion is on this. You cannot argue otherwise. This is known that there is a problem with people going to prison. A lot of these people don't even start off in prison as Muslims. Not to get too far up subject, but you know, Kevin and I were talking the other day as we were going to Hammond about like me going to prison, and you know, or was that one? It doesn't matter. We were talking at some point about you know, what would happen if I go to prison, just like we were talking about on the show, and he was like, nah, it wouldn't be as bad as you think, you know, because you would just like line up with your people. And I was like, Kevin, look at me. I don't have fucking people. I'm a Filipino Italian redneck with you know, right-wing leanings, who loves comic books and lives at home with his mother. Like I don't have a people. No one likes me. I offend everyone, you know. But
I'll give you the honest truth. It would kill you.
They would. It's not even debatable. I don't have a people. There's no white people. I can't get with the Italians. I'm too brown. Like, and that's what happens. Like, so some of the people who are maybe in similar positions to me end up like gravitating toward radical Muslims that are in prison. Like right. you convert to Islam
for protection.
Yeah, and some of it's also like people tend to try to find peace in prison, and you know, religion. Yeah, some of them find Christianity, some of them find Islam. You know, so whatever it is, but
being bent over on a toilet.
I guess that's a way to go through it, but. So this guy Tommy Robinson is well known for him being against the Islamization of England, which is happening. England's becoming more and more. I'm not saying like it's like it's been overrun by Islam, but it's becoming more and more Islamized. Doesn't matter. I don't know. I know Islamization. I don't know how to conjugate that, but
Islamatic.
Now, maybe the guy hates Muslims, or maybe he just wants England to remain England, which I agree with.
Maybe he just wants to say, "Wake up, motherfuckers."
That might be it too, but he might be a bigot. I don't know. It's again, you can't trust the people who hate him, because of course they're going to go to he's a bigot. But you can't really trust the people that like him, because they're going to say, of course he's not. He's just right, you know. And I'm sure he has supporters that hate Muslims, and I'm sure he has supporters that are just like, no, I'm with you. I just want England to remain England. I don't care if there's Muslims here or not. But regardless of where you stand on the guy, and again, I don't have a stance on him. I'm not pro him. I'm not against him. Regardless of where you stand on the guy. What happened to him on Friday was horrible, and I'm finally getting to it. Sorry this is taking so long, but I have a lot to say. I'm very passionate about this, because I'm very passionate about the idea of people's human rights being eroded away. So Tommy Robinson was at a courthouse where there was a trial going on. It was the last day of the trial for a Muslim grooming gang, meaning basically a gang that goes out and finds like 11-year-old girls and grooms them to be brides and rapes them, stuff like that. Which of course he's all against, you know, as one should be. But you know, you know, they're Muslims, you know, they're radical Islamists. Now, you're not allowed to report on the facts of a trial as it's ongoing. However, he was outside doing a live stream. Now, I've seen the video. He was outside doing a live. I didn't watch the whole video, but the part where he was arrested. I wanted to watch the whole video. I'm going to see if I can find it later. But he's outside doing a live stream, and what he's reporting on is only the facts that have already been made public.
Okay.
That's it. Nothing that affects the trial, because that was one of the things Nick was saying. It was like he was reporting on things that could affect the outcome of the trial and end up in a mistrial. No, he's not. He was reporting on things that were already stated in public through the news mediums. So he's live streaming. He's just talking about that, and all of a sudden the cops come and they tell him that he was. I don't want to get this wrong. He was being arrested for breach of the peace. Okay. Wayne, ask me what breach of the peace means.
Hey, man, what is breach of the peace?
Who knows? Who the fuck knows? It's a fucking made-up term. Now, I'm not saying that isn't a law in the books, but I'm saying it's vague enough to where you could kind of fit it towards anything.
Right.
He wasn't doing anything. There was no riots going on. He didn't have like a big crowd of supporters that were like, kill the Muzzies or something like that. Like
fuck shit up kind of stuff.
Yeah, nothing was going on. He was arrested immediately, and within hours. I heard it was within an hour, but I don't know the exact time frame, so I'm going to say within hours because I know it was before the end of the day. He was sentenced to 13 months in prison.
Fuck.
Now, I'm going to repeat something that no one's been able to confirm for a fact that this was said, but supposedly, because there's no video, obviously, but supposedly someone brought up to the judge and said, you're sending him to prison where he is hated and has been assaulted violently before. This is essentially a death sentence. And supposedly the judge's response was he knew what he was getting himself into. Basically saying, I don't care if he dies.
Yeah, fuck that guy, is what they're saying.
He didn't do anything. He's literally going to prison, and they're saying like, oh, he violated his parole. How? He was live streaming already published information in front of a courthouse. Not even in the courthouse, outside of the courthouse. Because that was another thing Nick said. Like, if he was across the street doing it, he would have been fine. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why would it be different if he was across the street from the courthouse instead of like out on the sidewalk in front of the courthouse?
Is there like some kind of thing where they can't be on property?
No, because he wasn't inside the courthouse. He was outside of it. But either way, like that, even if that is your argument, that's not what they said. The cops are on the video saying breach of peace, or he breached the peace, or something like that. I'm really messing up what they said, but it was basically he was breaching the peace.
Right, and to me, breach of peace means that he was starting some fucking shit.
Yeah. And that's what all the hate speech people want you to believe. And I was watching a video earlier today that really upset me. Another YouTuber that I follow, Dave Rubin, did a speech. I don't remember where. It was for a right wing. Dave Rubin is a left wing guy. He's a liberal. But he also works with right wing people because he believes whether I agree with you and disagree with you, we should be willing to have conversations. So he has right wing friends, and which you should. I have left wing friends. Obviously, Nick Branch and I were just arguing. Right. But so he was doing something for Turning Point USA, and I lost my train of thought. But the thing that pissed me off was he gets into this argument with this girl, like, cause it was so funny. The guy with the microphone's going around to take questions, and she's like, why is he holding the microphone? I can't, because I'm a woman, I can't hold my microphone. And Dave Rubin was just like, I mean, you're already starting off like trying to start a fight. Like, he's holding the microphone. That's what he's done for every other person before you. But fine, give her the microphone. And that's what it's something about. So she was saying, because this is what they say, she's like, well, hate speech always leads to violence. What you're doing, even if you're not calling for violence, your hate speech will lead to violence. That they love to say that. They love to say that you're inciting a riot, or you're inciting violence by your speech. That is bullshit. And, like, look, we're from Southern Louisiana.
Yeah,
we grew up around racism our whole lives.
We sure the fuck did.
Our families have said plenty of racist shit. We've heard racist shit. We've probably done racist shit. I know you have by accident, at least. Like we don't talk about that much anymore, but it doesn't matter. Maybe I should mention that real quick because I make it sound bad. Yeah. Wayne had friends that it turns out were white supremacists, and he didn't really know. He was a young kid. He didn't really know what he was doing.
Was an idiot.
You were a little kid, like you know, people cool, you know? People are nice to you, and you're just like, yeah, I'll fucking do whatever. You know, when you're a little kid, I'll fucking do whatever you want. You want me to go set that bridge on fire? I mean, you'll still hang out with me, okay? You know,
beating that guy's okay. Fuck it, all right.
But we've been around racist people our whole lives. How many people do you actually hang around, or still hang around once you find out that if they got something fucked up? If you find out that someone that you know is racist, and they actually say something like, "I wouldn't mind killing all those black people," like how often does that even happen? Almost never. That's kind of weird. I won't pretend that I haven't heard anybody say, "Well, you know, slavery wasn't all bad." You know, and usually when people say that, I've heard people say it as a joke, but I've heard a few people say it. And I was like, "Oh, okay, no,
dude,
huh?
It gets shit done."
All right, but I'm trying to be serious here. But for them, like, there's a big, people like to pretend that there's this connection between racism and murder. Like, you know, like cops are racist and therefore they're willing to kill all black people. No, not really. Most cops are pretty remorseful when they have to kill anyone, you know, even in the line of duty. There's not a direct link between, like, the people who are willing to kill other people were already willing to kill other people. The people The people who are willing to do fucked up shit, you don't have to incite them to do fucked up shit. They're going to do it. So this idea that just because someone's racist means they're willing to kill other people the people they don't like is bullshit. There's no, like, hate speech does not incite violence. Violent people are going to be violent no matter what.
Yep.
You know, it's bullshit. And this whole thing, you know, I know I've been jumping around. It's just like, you know how I am. I have so much shit in my head that I want to get out, and I'm bad at organizing it, but it just drives me crazy. And I was telling a different English friend of ours, Mart, you know, who was listening kindly to what I had to say. And I said, you know, Africa is the cradle of life, but England is the cradle of Western civilization. You could also argue Rome, but I'd say a lot of the values that evolved into American values, and by extension, world values, started with England. Yeah. Or at least were nurtured and fostered in England. Like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things that we left that country for. One of them is the right to own guns. But it's just, it's sad to see England now. And like I said, like, there's cops on Facebook telling you, like, if you post hate speech, we're coming for you.
That's so crazy to me.
You know, it's so again, and look, I'm not supporting Tommy Robinson. If he does just hate all Muslims, I'm against that firmly. Yeah. But even if he is, like, a racist piece of shit, he didn't do anything wrong. And also, by the way, I should also mention this. It's not really being reported out of England.
No.
Now, I don't know if this is official, but I follow an English YouTuber named Sargon of Akkad, who is a he's a liberal. Like me, he disassociates left wing from liberal, but he is a liberal. And he was asked to talk about it. He did mention that it happened, but he was asked to do, like, a long form video examining the evidence, and he said no, because from what I understand, there is a ban on discussing what's going on with Tommy Robinson right now. Most of the information that I've seen has been strictly from non-English, non-UK news sources.
So basically a bunch of horse shit.
Yeah, and it's fucking crazy. It's really crazy right now. It really makes me sad to see England that way. Again, you don't have to like what somebody says. You can hate us for things that I've said in the last 20 minutes.
It's okay.
But if we don't have the right to speak, the right to free expression, right to free association with like-minded individuals, then we are not free. There is no such thing as freedom without these things. So anyway, that's all I have to say about that. I just had to get that off my chest, and whatever. But it makes me sad.
Well, that's good though. I mean, I agree 100% with what you're saying. The guy, I don't think he should have been put in jail. Not for videoing, or not even. Was he not even videoing? Was he?
Yeah, well, he was live streaming the video. He was talking into a camera. Oh, here's another part. Like, when they say like, he was violating a law that says you can't, film whatever. His crew that was doing the filming, they weren't arrested. It was just him. Well, yeah. I mean, there you go. I just watched one of the guys that was. He yells at a guy. I think the guy's name was Rich. He was like, "Rich, get me a solicitor." Solicitor being an attorney in England. The guy he was yelling to, I just watched a video that he was on. He came to America to do a video discussing what happened. And look, and some of what he said might not be true too. It's so funny because there's this ban and this hatred of this guy. It's hard to say what is and what isn't true.
So hold on. So it's basically a witch hunt.
I don't want to be that conspiratorial, but that's what it sounds like.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, his crew was not arrested.
Interesting.
And it just seems to me that if that was the reason that he was put in jail was videotaping, discussing all this, then wouldn't the crew be part and parcel to that? I mean, you can be. I mean, maybe in England's different, but in America, you can be an accessory to a crime. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, let's move on from that.
Well, I don't have much left to go on the show today.
We don't have time.
Yeah, I got other shit going on, but we can still keep going for a little while longer, man.
Okay.
So yeah, I got good news with the Magic Show, which is kind of interesting. We went and did the Magic Show while you guys were doing the fucking awesome comedy show, which looks really great.
Wait. You have to explain that because I was asked several times by people, what is Wayne doing right now? Wasn't he supposed to be here? To which I had to tell them,
okay,
Wayne is in the French Quarter doing magic at a secret vampire club.
Correct, and that's exactly what it was. We got a gig, and me and my boss got a gig at this secret vampire club, and we went over there to do the little thing, did our magic show in front of all these people, which was really cool. I met a couple writers and some other things from out of town. There was a bunch of people from out of town there, so that was kind of neat. It's an exclusive club. You have to know like where it's at and like the fucking secret code to get in the door and shit. It was fucking strange. But anyway,
the code is I want to suck your blood.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That was actually embarrassing. I shouldn't have even. that was really bad. But go on.
But no. So we did our show, and this show is actually a little different than the one you saw. I mean, we had specifically things put in the show to kind of give it more of a creepy, vampiric kind of vibe.
Bloody dildos.
Exactly. So, it went well. We talked for a little while, and they want us to go there once a month.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that was really cool. We actually got like a standing gig now. Hopefully, they want us back, but we got to arrange it. However we want to get in there.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool. That was cool. And then, of course, the whole time I was sitting there going, I really want to be at the fucking thing in Hammond. I did not want to go. I was like,
Yeah, it kind of sucks you missed it. Not for me, because that meant that the money that I took was all for me instead of having to split it with you. Which I don't feel bad about, because you made a lot more money than me that night. But I will. I mean, is that? Did you want to talk more about the magic show? I don't want to.
No. I'm good. I just, you know.
I could not be more pleased with the comedy show.
It looks amazing.
It's, you know, we do a lot of stuff on this show, and some of it y'all don't hear about on the podcast, because a lot of it's behind the scenes, because we're trying to do things that 9 times out of 10 don't work out. And sometimes it's because, like, we can't figure it out. Sometimes it's like we can't work things out with a venue. That's been the case several times. Yeah. That's the reason that we haven't done another Full Metal Promise. Not for us not wanting to do it. We still want to do it. We wanted it to be annual, but we couldn't get a date. And there's only so many places in New Orleans that it would really fit. Like, we can't, you know, no offense to the Babylon, but the Babylon's too small to do Full Metal Prom. It would not work. And there's a couple that I really want to do, and we work all the time trying to get, like, things done, and we've been lucky enough to be able to make the live podcasts happen twice. And the comedy shows we attempt, but more often than not, and it's not just us, it's New Orleans. Like, New Orleans is, it's one of the things that drives me crazy about this fucking city. You hear people all the time going like, yeah, New Orleans, you know, there's entertainment on every corner, and you can do whatever, you can see whatever, you know, and all this bullshit. But, you know, when people are trying to, like, struggling, trying to do things and trying to do something different, you know, yeah, like, people, like, even if you get it done, people don't show up. People in New Orleans they always act like they want stuff, but when you actually do it, they're like, I'm good. I don't need that.
Yeah, wait for this.
Know? And it's
big turd.
It's frustrating, because we're not super successful people. We're all struggling, you know. Rum probably went to work today with a broken neck because he's a lunatic and he's got a mortgage.
Yep.
Sorry, Rum, I love you. You're a lunatic. So we went out to Hammond, to Gnarly Barley, with no expectations, because we have done a successful comedy show at a brewery before, at Crooked Letter in Biloxi, which we'd like to do again. I should probably contact them, but I know they have done other comedy shows since. But we didn't know what to expect. We've never done anything in Hammond. And frankly, the date that I chose, I didn't think about it at the time, was right after and in between semesters at Southeastern Louisiana University. So we didn't even, like, there was very little chance of getting a bunch of college kids. So I was thinking it's going to be maybe 20, 30 people at most, if even that. And also, there was supposed to be a hurricane.
Right.
Like, it literally came down to the wire where it was like, is this going to happen at all? Because I ain't bringing my comics out there if it's, you know, if it's flooding, you know. So, but we got out there, and I'd say it's 6, like, we got there at 6. By like 6:20, people started coming in. And people were still coming in after the show started. And the show ended up starting at 7:30. And all told, we had 82 people showed up.
That's fucking beautiful.
I have never seen that many people at a comedy show outside of a national comedian.
That's beautiful.
It was unbelievably successful. Everyone there was attentive, had a good time. The owners of Gnarly Barley, that being Zach, the guy who started it, and Carrie, who I think she implied is married to him now. I'm not sure. But she's the person I've been in contact. I just met Zach that night, which I felt bad at first. I was like, who is this guy? And I was like, oh wait, I've seen your face. You own this place. Sorry. How do you do? But they never stopped thanking me. And Carrie said to me at some point, she was like, you guys did so much better than we expected you to. To which part of me was like, oh, thank you. And then the rest of me was like, thank you? I guess. Like wait, what does that mean? She meant it in a positive way. I know she did.
I know.
And I've still been getting messages 2 days later now. Everybody was overjoyed, and it did me good because I felt like I accomplished something. I had an idea. I contacted the people, and it worked out. And and I hoped they told me before the night, they were like, we want to do more stuff with you. Y'all exceeded all of our expectations. We want to make this bigger. We're good at, like, I don't know if people know this, but we're actually good at this thing, like these things. Like I'm like, maybe not all the logistics. There's things that we could be better at and work with people that know more. But like, as far as, like I was telling Kevin, he was like, why don't y'all do more stuff like this? I was like, dude, I have ideas. It's just that when I try to do it in New Orleans, nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah.
And it
try, guys, like seriously, we bust our ass like every fucking day with all these fucking ideas and shit that we have, and nothing comes about because no one wants to give you a chance. And
we don't have money that helps with it, because we could do it on our own if we had an investor or we had money.
And you know what? I want to apologize for one thing. I was told by 2 of the comedians that the sound sucked. Sorry, that's all I had was those little amplifiers.
I'm not going to say I'm sorry if any of them are listening, because I told them in advance. Like, I didn't realize until literally the weekend before that Gnarly Barley didn't have their own amplifier system. If I had known, it would have been different. And all I could do was get,
I could have asked the band for the PA, because I have a PA that that it's partially mine. So, I could always...
Well, it's a learning experience. And guess what? They had an amazing show. Like, I don't know if they were complaining or they were just telling you that.
No. I was just asking them, like, hey, how was it? Everything was good, except, the sound was kind of hard because we had to talk louder. And I was like, oh, sorry, it's my bad.
Yeah.
Amplifier I had,
Yeah, I know B-Dope was upset by that. But they all had amazing sets. And they all came out of it feeling a sense of pride with what they did that night. So, again, thanking everybody. And I want to do more. And if we end up having to do it outside of New Orleans, and so be it. Because, like, I'm at that point, and I want to do stuff here because it's easier for everyone, including us. But if we got to go to Baton Rouge or maybe Biloxi to get Full Metal Prom done, and I'm going to say it on the air. I don't normally do these things, but I've wanted to do, since Full Metal Prom, I've been saying I wanted to do something. It may be called, originally the name was going to be the Outlaw Formal, right, but it might just be the Country Formal, because like it might not all be outlaw style music bands. But I want to do a country music version of the prom, and awesome. Outlaw Formal is a good name. Like, it all kind of starts. The Full Metal Prom name is the main reason we did it. But and look, and I told Kevin, I was like, man, I want to do a rap one. We can call it the hip hop homecoming or whatever. Like, whatever.
That's awesome. That's great.
I want to do all these things, and then you're not a fan of country music. Neither of us are that big of fans of rap music. Kyle is, but we want to do big shows, and we want people to enjoy themselves, and so if New Orleans isn't going to play, then we're going to start looking, and maybe if we have to go to Houston, then that's what's going to happen. If you're a fan of ours and you want it, I'm sure a lot of our listeners are metal fans.
Yeah.
If you want to go to Full Metal Prom because you weren't listening at the time, and you know somebody that can help, contact them and let us know. And like, we're not looking to make a bundle. We're
just looking to get it out there. Let's
do some shit. I mean, we are looking to make some money, But I will say this before, I know you have to go, but I do want to say this. I mentioned earlier that I took a cut of the money that we made. Now, I don't want to say how much money we made, but 82 people, $5 a head. You do the math. We've taken a cut from our comics exactly once out of dozens upon dozens of shows.
Oh yeah.
We never take money, because the little money that's made, we want our comics to feel like we appreciate them coming out and working, because a lot of times they don't make money.
Exactly.
And
we appreciate those guys who come out to shows, and they do shows and still don't make but hardly anything. Maybe if they get gas money, but they still
Exactly. Matt Robin was coming out from Mississippi. He went from Mississippi to New Orleans AM, and I'll tell you this: 2 of our comics, 2 of them said to me, "Oh, we're getting paid tonight." So and I don't do all this complaining. I just want y'all to know that we're trying. And again, if you know somebody that can help, if you know somebody who has an appropriate venue, which means like. It's got to be kind of nice if we're doing a prom, because Full Metal Prom is a literal prom. Yes, there are metal bands playing, thrash music, all that, but people show up dressed nice. It's an actual prom.
You dress up. We will have a king and queen. We will have this. This is photo booths, and it is prom. This is remember what you were a kid that you finger banged your first girl at prom, or if you were lucky enough you got laid that night. Whatever. Think of it like that.
So
think of that kind of prom. That's what it's like.
All right, we've both been emotional. I know you got a kid to go to. Tell him.
I gotta go tend to him, man. But remember, guys, look, we are always here. We're always trying to push. We're always trying to make things better, and we will accomplish the things and our goals. That's what we do. It may take us a long time. We may talk shit on here about stuff, but the things we talk about, they will happen. It just takes us a little while because we're not made out of fucking money. So,
all right. Well, I've been Adam.
I've been Wayne.
And keep it white.
Yeah. No.
Keep it metal. All
right, dude.
MHOG